All right. Well, welcome everyone. I just got back from the dentist, so I'm all clean and sparkly and shiny, but also getting back from the dentist. So um, I'm glad to be here today, always, but this has been such an interesting topic. And we've been talking about, we started about manifesting your dreams using Reiki. And we started that last week. And typically, what we try to do is kind of go through, 4 weeks or maybe a couple more about a particular subject and really deep dive into it as much as we can in, this amount of time for the distance Reiki shares. And so it's been an interesting journey for me with this topic of manifesting your dreams. And then I realized as I've been listening around it that I think I have a little bit of, I guess some of it would have started from before the pandemic when everything switched and, the idea of manifesting your dreams all became different. And what started out as unprecedented events has continued. So we're still in unprecedented events all the time. And so I think there's been a certain amount of what it meant to me before 2020 with Manifest My Dreams and what that means today. And one of the things that I realized is that I have a little bit of a, like, really, do I get to think about manifesting my dreams? What are my dreams? Is that, almost like what you said, Joe, like, is it okay to be thinking about that right now with everything going on in the world? And what does that mean? And what does it look like? And then the other part of me is like, well, it's still been the same really my whole life in some of the areas of my life, like this one of, contributing wellness in the world and, trying to contribute to making the world a better place in the way that we can. So that has all been mixed in with this topic of manifesting your dreams. And last week we started with really starting to release the blocks to them. And maybe that's for me why it's kind of not landing like, oh, I understand this particular topic, what we want to talk about, the how to, because here we always do a how to, like, how do you get there to your inner truth about the subject, and how does Reiki help you do that? So it's always how it kind of formulates. So maybe for me, some of it hasn't formulated easily because I am releasing some of the blocks to it that we started last week. Well, even before that, because as you know, things show up before we actually know that's what we're what we're thinking about. So maybe that's part of it. And then there's a whole other topic that has really come into an awareness, and we'll cover it in one of these months. But Robin and I have been listening to a podcast called The Telepathy Tapes, and I've talked about it here before, but I will tell you what, it is amazing. And the concept behind them, and I've jumped around a little bit, so I still need to go back and do some of the linear, but the concept behind it and the information behind it, the studies that are being done are with working with children with nonverbal autism and discovering through these studies that they are incredibly telepathic, like 100% accuracy in their telepathy. And they have Like it's all developing right now, the understanding of a human intellect that has been hidden from us, hidden from many people. And in our own lives, I know, it's certainly something that was underdeveloped within me, and the possibility of telepathy was underdeveloped. Anyway, I don't think I'm going to talk more about that because I do want to get into the dream part. But seriously, go to your regular podcast channels and check out the telepathy tapes. It is so fascinating. And these children, many of them now young adults, they talk about things the same way that we talk about them here. One of the things that they talk about, because in many cases they are actually savant genius level of intelligence. And so what they talk about, some of them in the spirituality of it and how they can not only be telepathic in this dimension, but they can be telepathic in the spiritual dimensions. The number one quality they talk about is love. Love is always the solution. And then they said kindness is the pathway to love. And in a particular group, they actually are working with what they call divine beings that are taking care of a space where they can meet with each other from around the world, never having met, and have entire telepathic conversations, communications, friendships, love, discussions. It is so mind-blowing. So all of that is coming around in my head, and I'm trying to kind of coalesce it all into how does this fit with this topic of using Reiki to manifest your dreams. And so this morning at the dentist, I was thinking and listening around this, and it still comes down to accessing those higher frequency energies that then assist in everyday life. So for instance, I made a list. Hold on, let me get to my list. Now I have a bunch of things on my oh dear, where's my list? Okay, well, I don't really think I have to have the list. But the energies that are going to support you in discovering what your dreams are, living those dreams, manifesting them, experiencing them, is moving into that energy of love, of appreciation, kindness, gratitude, cooperation, moving into levels of higher consciousness. And for me, then I always have the how-to because, again, like I say, the other part of me is very engaged in what is going on in the world and for people and this community and all of us. And, then how does it all reconcile? How do I pull it together? And really, for me, the answer truly is just receive the Reiki energy and let it come in, because the nature of the energy is those higher frequencies. And when you invite it, you are actually setting an internal intention to entrain with that life force energy in those higher frequencies. So to me, the first step is always that part of it. How do I get to the higher frequencies? And then I can get to my questions. Then I can get to the things I want to know about. And the other part of the energies that came in around this was, really working with your imagination, your curiosity, childlike wonder. Wonder in itself is a whole energy. And then how do you get there when life is hard and you've had very difficult things happening? I know we actually have people here in our community that, have been in the LA fires and the natural disasters around the world. And then we have all the political things going on around the world. AI even, DeepSeek came in. What does that mean? That whole idea. So back to the dreams, I think the first step is just simply letting Reiki come in and sort through a lot of it for you. And then the next piece of it shows up to me as, what are the questions that you have around it? Even what are your dreams? Discovering them, what are they? And accessing the higher frequencies of you so that you may have one surface level answer, and then you may have one soul level answer, combination, or anything in between. And so using Reiki to be in both places. We talk a lot in this group about how Reiki energy is aligning your authentic intellect so you can hear you from your entire body, your whole body. Your whole body is listening, your whole body is thinking. And we've talked a lot about what we call the perception triad. Your gut brain, your heart brain, and your head brain. And then aligning your authentic intellect with the practicalities of your daily life, the circumstances of your daily life, and aligning with the energy of the earth, aligning with the energy of the moon, and then aligning with the energies of this solar system, Milky Way, perhaps even into the universe. And then aligning your divine mind with your human mind. Your divine mind is actually your divine guidance. A lot of times we think of divine guidance as outside of us, which it's there too, and we are accessing that as well. But you have your own personal inner divine guidance that you brought to this lifetime with you. The knowledge of your soul. And so that's what we're doing, is aligning all of that. Then we go into the questions. What are my dreams? And then with the ability to see it from all perspectives, and then bring it into the practicalities of your daily life. Because there are always the things like your life circumstances, your timing, the culture around you. There are so many factors. So how do you get it all pulled together? So in contemplating all of that, one of the other things that we work with all the time are the the concept of the one thing. And this is a book written by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. And anyway, in it are clarified different topics in your life that you are going to be focusing on in one way or another. So, for instance, your spiritual life, your personal life, your physical health, your key relationships, your job, your finances, business. So, what we were going to do here is go into these topics for the next couple of weeks so that you can actually deep dive, get into that Reiki state. We'll do that together. We'll do that through a guided Reiki journey and meditation. And then from that place, you can actually answer the questions that I'm going to ask you in the journey. So today, what the questions are going to be related to, and you can either write these down. We do a lot of automatic writing here, or you can also just, listen to yourself and retain it, however that works best for you. But we'll be talking about what your dreams are in those key areas of your life over the next couple weeks, and try to bring all of that higher thought, higher consciousness, imagination into like a central focus where you are asking the questions. And so we're going to start with spiritual life. What are your dreams for your spiritual life? What are some of the things that have been holding you back? We'll be doing that too. In the journeys that we do, we always take the opportunity to let go of the things that are in your way. In this case, what blocks you from living your dreams of your spiritual life? Yeah, that was where I got that answer today. Not about this topic, because I do get to live my dreams here, but in other areas when I really realized, like, oh, I'm maybe having a little bit of feeling of, and I don't know if survivor's guilt is the right term for it, but a little bit of a feeling of like, God, there are so many important things to be focusing on. Do I get to figure out what my dreams are? And then the understanding is that's where creation starts from. That's where innovation starts from. That's where those higher frequencies are things that are so much a part of our human nature and human intellect. It's our human nature to, to create and to be curious and to wonder and to take action and to manifest. So what we're going to do then is go into that journey. And this time I'm going to start pretty quickly with it because I want to take a lot of time for the questions. So what will happen in the structure of it, and we'll provide this, both the discussion and then also the journey on our YouTube channel on Thursday and podcast channel. But I totally lost my train of thought. That must mean it's time to stop talking and get to it. Oh, I know what I was going to say. There will definitely be time in the journey for you to answer your questions. So I will be silent during those times so you can be in your inner experience. So when you go to do this on your own, you're thinking in ways, and it can be however this works for you, is activate the energy first, then go in and listen to you and ask your questions from there. Take some time to let go of the things that are in the way of your answers and solutions, and then take the time to bring in. We're going to focus on the field of possibilities in these journeys. So let me explain a little bit about that. Maybe we've never really directly talked about it. In the Reiki journeys, the way we are perceiving them is that we are using Reiki energy and the bridge of light, which is the distance symbol, to travel into the enlightened realm we call the third heaven. The third heaven is the concept that it is the place where all there is love. There is no duality. We live in the first heaven, and it's a dual realm here. So we have love and hate. We have joy and grief. We have tragedy and triumph, and all the different opposites. You know, it's all here. That's the first heaven. But we do have higher frequencies here, and we can choose those. The second heaven is like the first heaven, but it's a non-physical realm. So it's a non-human realm. Non-physical is, I think, more accurate because it's not just non-humans, but it's non-physical. But it's also a dual realm. In that non-physical realm, we have both higher and lower frequencies of consciousness, etc. In the third heaven, when we cross over that bridge of light and we intend that we are going to that third heaven, we are actually going to what we call an enlightened realm, meaning that there is no duality there. There's only love. It's a non-dual realm. There's only love. There's only joy. There's only, you know, the higher qualities of us and everything around us. And we know that those spiritual realms go into even greater depth, but for this purpose, we're in the third heaven. So in the Reiki journey, what we do is we go to a couple of locations there because it is a location and you can go and explore there. And one of the places we go to is the river of life, the river of peace. Oftentimes we'll go to the tree of life. We will go to the hall of the gifts of ancestors and descendants and gifts of spirit. But one of the locations that we go to is called the field of possibilities. And that can be however you perceive it. I could even define it a particular way, and it has a completely different kind of idea of what that even is to you. It could be a biofield frequency that you enter. It could be, you know, however you perceive that. But when we go there, the energy there is to support awakening possibilities. Then it has another piece about it, though, that I see in it all the time is the energy of discernment within the possibilities so that you can be in those possibilities and have the discernment to know, like, you know, and manifest your dreams, for instance. Is this just a daydream that I love to dream about? Or is this a daydream that I'm going to take action on and I actually want to manifest it? Or anywhere in between those two things. So an example of that might be like, I'll daydream about winning the lottery. And I do take some action around it because, every once in a while I buy a ticket and, most of the time, if I buy 10 tickets, I might have, over a course of time, I might have one number out of all of them that ever even comes in. So, I do have some skepticism that that's probably not, my place to put all my focus. Or maybe that's why it isn't working. I don't know. Anyway, but then I have my other dreams that I do want to manifest, and then I can look at those with the practical realities of it. What's my next step for that to happen? Is it something that I'm looking at a week from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And so sometimes when you discover and identify the dreams that you are looking at and you put them into an actual kind of focus where it's manageable, then you can look at it from, well, then what's the next how to? So all those different steps are what we're doing in the next couple weeks. Today, we're going to start with the journey to discover. And so in that, we are going to travel over the bridge of light. The spiritual guides will be there, yours, however that means and whatever that means for you. And we'll go to the field of possibilities for you to listen for your answers. I do have some questions that I'm going to ask, but also you may have your own questions. And you also always in these journeys, sometimes you will be guided to go somewhere completely different than what I am saying to do. So let's say I say, okay, you're going to follow the path and you land in the field of possibilities, but you're already somewhere else. Go where you go rather than following the instructions. I think Reiki is really trying to teach us that. Get to your inner truth. If I ask questions that aren't necessarily relevant, or you have a different question that comes in, follow you. Sometimes you might get one word in 30 minutes. Sometimes you get pages. Sometimes you might fall asleep. Sometimes you might have mind chatter and it doesn't clarify. And that in itself is clarity. Like, oh, that's what's going on. I have a lot of mind chatter.